Everybody, welcome to the Summit Board of Education meeting scheduled for Thursday, January 16th. Happy New Year to everybody. We'd ask you to please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, I wish to announce that the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. Notices announcing the date, time, and place for this meeting were sent to all concerned individuals, associations, and sent to Union County local source in accordance with Chapter 231 of Public Law 1975. For the roll call, Ms. Stanton?
Here.
Mr. Maecha?
Here.
Ms. Kelly?
Here.
Ms. Erde?
Here.
Mr. Cho?
Here.
Vice President Cohen?
Here.
President Justice?
Here.
You have a quorum.
And with that, we will move to our presentation.
Presentation time.
Okay, good evening. January is the designated month where we will review our board goals, the mid-year reviews, checkup, so to speak. And I want to start by saying I'm really proud of our team for every year on the effort and the consistency that goes into delivering these goals. It's really a cascading effect from the board, from my office, from the directors, all the way through the administration, all the way through the staff and every staff member. And I'm really proud of the work we've done on all these goals because we have had variations of these goals similar to each other over the years. So we're very proud. So I'll be sharing some of the presentation tonight with parts of my team. So just to remind everyone of the goals, goal number one, Summit Public Schools will continue to foster an inclusive school community that values diversity, promotes equity, and supports mental health, wellness, and social emotional learning within its climate, operations, curricula, and programs. This has been an ongoing goal that's really evolved over the years. And we've really benefited from it. Our students, and not just our students, our staff, right? We're building community where we can maintain rigorous teaching and learning because kids are going to be available for learning. Goal number two, Summit Public Schools will continue to improve its ability to utilize data to inform instructional programming and implement strategies that target areas of growth for all students. Once again, we've really made a lot of progress in this goal. We started years ago from a foundation of just adopting common language around data and how we're using it. Now we're adding systems, we're adding professional development. You'll hear a lot about multi-tiered systems of support and how we're using data to continue to maintain rigor in teaching and learning. Goal number three, Summit Public Schools will further the development of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, which is STEAM, initiative to cultivate interest and encourage, innovate thought processes that will develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills and prepare students for future opportunities in a dynamic global society. That's a mouthful, and that's right on the cutting edge. We started this many years ago with the elementary STEAM labs. We're scaffolding it up. This year, we were able to get in some new spaces here in the middle school with some new courses. We just shared with Ed Committee some proposal for courses for next year when we are able to obtain the high school spaces. So we're on track, we're on trajectory, and it's really exciting, and our kids are going to benefit for this, for, like we said, a global dynamic landscape. And goal number four, the Summit Public Schools will actively engage in the strategic planning process to ensure the continuous improvement and success of the district. Summit Public Schools will create a cohesive, forward-thinking strategy that supports students' academic and personal growth while promoting community trust and collaboration. Through this process, stakeholders will identify and integrate innovative educational practices, technologies that align with the district's mission and vision. Summit Public Schools will build a strong foundation for continued growth, accountability, and excellence in educational outcomes. This is new this year. We started this in August. We're well on our way. We're really excited about the outcome of this. It's going to align the vision of the community for the next 5 years of what the priorities of Summit Public Schools are for our K-12 program, maintaining excellence and the status that we have come to deserve for our students, okay? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Crystal Moore to continue with the presentation of the goals.
Sorry. Good evening. So I'm going to talk about goal number one. So for each of our goals, we have an outcome that we hope to establish by the end of the year. So our outcome for goal one is that data collected from our strategic equity plan, which an endeavor that we began 3 years ago, and stakeholder feedback will be used to further ensure an equitable educational experience, a sense of belonging, and mutual respect among students, staff, and families. This will be accomplished through increased awareness of mental health and wellness, as well as the delivery of professional development and SEL programming. Just to highlight some of the wonderful work that's been done across our system in inclusive learning environments and social emotional support. Regarding student programming, we've had the rollout of our Panorama Social Emotional Learning Survey for grades 3 through 12 to increase the effectiveness of responsive interventions through the counseling department and across our schools. This survey was taken, and Panorama is working diligently with our staff, our counselors. We're actually dedicating some February PD time for our counselors to be able to go through and analyze that and ensure that the supports for their students are responsive to the needs of the kids that are sitting in front of them. Another highlight is our ADL No Place for Hate designations across all of our schools in the district that we're working through. Our schools, our climate and culture teams are creating lessons that work in the anti-bullying realm. And those lessons are being done. They're created by our climate and culture teams, as I said, and done 3 times. Students additionally sign a pledge of no hate. And so that's another piece that we wanted to highlight. And as always, something that has become an annual thing here is Challenge Day. And Challenge Day is a wonderful day-long experience that some of our students at the high school, as well as now at the middle school, get to participate in. Regarding staff professional development, we've created book studies on belonging, culturally responsive teaching, and teaching students in poverty that are available to all of our staff members. Many of our staff have engaged with belonging and dignity, as well as teaching controversial issues in a contentious political climate training through our partnership with the New Jersey Consortium for Excellence through Equity. We've had leadership training for our administrative council, as well as a wellness initiative through US Wellness. Last year, the chair massages for our staff were a huge hit, so I'm sure they will be this year as well. There are 2 pilot programs that fit under this goal that I'd like to highlight. One is at Jefferson Elementary School, and it is a positive behavior support in schools, PBSIS. We have an acronym for everything. This is a 3-year endeavor that they got through a competitive grant with the Department of Education. This year is centered on training their leadership team in the tenets of PBSIS and learning how to create school-wide supports for students to incentivize positive behavior and adherence to the code of conduct. Next year, it will be rolled out to students and staff across the school for year 2. The second pilot that I'd like to highlight is through Washington Elementary School, our inclusion pilot. This brings students that are classified in our special education into the general education classroom and uses a co-teaching model. And through the many times I've been at Washington Elementary School this year and through observations and walkthroughs with admin and staff, I can say that this has been absolutely a game changer and incredibly beneficial for all of our students, all of our staff, and all of our families at Washington Elementary. And so before I move on to our second goal, which is the data goal, I wanted to see and take any questions that any board members may have. Yes. So that's a great question. I'm going to repeat it so that everyone can hear. So the question was to regard like quantitative metrics, looking at that. So there are no additional quantitative metrics that we're using at Washington in order to assess the effectiveness, but we do use all of our assessment pieces, and we look at the before and after results. Obviously, you have different cohorts of students, but we look at our iReady data of our students. We look at our NJSLA scores at the end of the year, and so there will certainly be an assessment quantitatively of the effectiveness of the programming, yes. Or the outcome for goal 2 is that staff will continue to increase data literacy through professional development, consistent application of data analysis protocols, and progress monitoring practices to deliver rigorous learning opportunities and targeted intervention for all learners through multi-tiered systems of support, including tiered behavioral supports. Some of the work to highlight here, yet another pilot. So this one is at the middle school. And Panorama, so I mentioned before the social emotional learning. The same vendor that we use for that offers something called a student success platform. And we've piloted that at the middle school. And it allows administrators and teachers to track and analyze student data in a responsive and comprehensive manner. And so some of the feedback that we've gotten through this year is that what it's done is it's allowed teachers as well as administrators to see a whole picture of a student. So they're able to see a student's attendance data, their discipline data, their academic data, their assessment data, all in one place. And so it really does take the legwork off of the teachers and the administrators of having to compile spreadsheet after spreadsheet. So they get to spend their time doing the thing that matters, which is seeing the data and then creating actionable plans to address and extend learning opportunities for students. A few more of our ongoing pieces are our MTSS small group instruction cohort training, also at the middle school. And so really small group instruction is something that allows teachers to scaffold and differentiate what students are learning in class to best meet their needs. And so what the middle school has done is they have a group of teachers who have volunteered to be a part of this cohort to really learn best practices in small group instruction. It's a different animal at the middle school than in elementary. And I have to say, having sat in on many of these meetings, the teachers are eager to meet the needs of their students and learn how to best structure their classes so that they can get that small group instruction in. It's very exciting. Additionally, we have the Genesis Discipline module integration at the middle school and the high school. And so what that means is that we use our student information system, and in addition to attendance data as well as academic data, we also now have discipline data within that. And so it's just a place of having a data warehouse and having one place to get all of the data rather than having to go to multiple sources. We've also adopted the adoption of and professional development in a new phonics program, intervention program for our elementary schools. They're using something called Sunday System. And this is an explicit instruction program that provides repetitive, responsive phonics instruction for students who may have additional needs in the classroom. We've also had our intervention data collection and analysis training for our staff and continued iReady training for instructional groupings. And as always, we work very diligently on our NJSLA data review meetings across all of our schools. Any questions related to the data goal? Yes, ma'am. No, it's internal through administration. Any other questions? Yes. That's a great question. So one of the reasons that we went with this vendor is that you can look at individual student data if a teacher's looking at working with individuals, but you can also see small group data, you can see large data. So it really does give you, so Panorama is the name of a panoramic view of your whole school. And then you can drill down by students, by classes, by grade levels, by subgroups, depending on what your goal in that data analysis may be. Through the pilot program right now, it's just an internal and it's used for our staff to be able to disaggregate the data. No, it's the student data that we use across all of our other platforms. The only difference with this is that rather than a teacher or an administrator having to go to all of these different platforms, it's in one consolidated place to save that time and efficiency. It's also very color-coded and easy to read, so it's very actionable. Certainly. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Rocco for goal number 3. Thank you.
Okay. So I am pleased to provide an update on the district's progress in advancing the STEAM initiative. This outcome, the elementary outcome, is for continuous curriculum revision and professional development to enhance STEAM programming and enable teachers to deliver rigorous and experiential learning opportunities. And then the secondary outcome is that we will have STEAM committees that will complete curriculum guides, progressions, and pathways to expand STEAM education and guide the design of physical spaces for the delivery of enhanced experiential learning opportunities for all students. So our progress thus far over the last several months of the school year, we have at the elementary level developed rubrics to assess student learning in grades 1 to 5, ensuring we can measure the impact of our STEAM programming in meaningful ways. We have coordinated articulation meetings for STEAM educators, bringing together elementary with the secondary folks, as well as then the 6 to 12 teachers have met to do some articulation meetings. So that's been really powerful in terms of helping the cohesiveness of a K-12 program. We have reviewed the K-5 STEAM curriculum to explore opportunities for integrating robotics within the STEAM instructional space as well. Currently, that part of the program, which actually launched the STEAM initiative here, has been managed by library media specialists, and we're transferring that into the STEAM classroom. And I'll talk about a little bit more in the ongoing part and how that's going to happen. At the secondary level, thus far, our STEAM subcommittees have designed proposals for new courses, which you will hear about tonight through the Ed Committee, and they are aimed at broadening students' access to innovative learning pathways. Additionally, construction projects at the middle school have been pretty much completed, and they're aligning the physical spaces with those experiential goals mentioned as part of the outcome for the STEAM initiative. Looking ahead to the second part of the school year and what's ongoing, our work will continue with an intentional focus on both curriculum and professional development. Elementary STEAM teachers will be receiving training in February on integrating those robotics lessons into their curriculum. We're also going to revise the K-5 curriculum to improve the seamless integration of science and STEAM instruction. We've found a couple places where we feel like we can do it a little bit better. So that will be part of our goal through the summer. At the secondary level, we're going to write new curriculum with courses such as computer-aided drafting, as well as dance, to expand opportunities for students in the upcoming school year. And our educators continue to actively participate in professional development groups, such as the MUJC has a STEAM council that are Kristen Schumann, who's the coordinator of K-5, as well as our secondary folks have been attending. It's a great opportunity for them to learn about best practices, as well as then they're developing a cohort that they're working on programming together. So there's some opportunities there to partner with other districts in the future, which is exciting. And then finally, we look forward to the construction projects at Summit High School being completed and then being able to roll out the programming next school year to fill those spaces with innovative and creative thinkers. Any questions from the board members? Thank you.
Thank you, Heather and Crystal. I'm going to wrap it up with goal number 4, which is our new goal for this year. And our outcome is, in the first year of engaging in strategic planning, Summit Public Schools will establish a clear vision and mission that aligns with our community's needs and values. Key stakeholders, including students, parents, teachers, staff, and community members, will actively participate in identifying priorities, which will lead to the creation of focused goals and a completed first-year action plan. So the way this is designed to work is we're going to have the first year action plan complete and implement it next year. And as we go through the next year, we will design the next year's plan after that, because you don't always necessarily hit all your targets. So you're constantly reevaluating what comes up next in the action plan. So some of the things that we have completed so far, we secured the Madison Institute to facilitate this process. That's a professional organization that does this for school districts throughout the state of New Jersey. Came very highly recommended. We hosted the initial information session with the board in our August board meeting, talk about what the process looks like, the expectations, and how this is going to look from start to finish. We held an open community meeting to gather input from all stakeholders. So there were staff, administration, parents, community members, probably close to 90 or 100 people, I think, attended that meeting. It was a 2-hour meeting. We participated in our first core team meeting to begin to develop our vision and mission statement. And we distributed surveys to all stakeholders and staff and parents. I think we had a little over 1,000 students grades 6 to 12 complete the survey, over 400 parents, these are rough estimates, and 400 teachers or so, and about 30 community members that don't have children in the district. I'll share the accurate numbers at core team. I think our next meeting is in a couple of weeks. So what are we doing from here going forward in our first year of this goal? We're going to adopt the mission and vision statement. That's be coming up in the next work that we do in our core team. We're also going to add additional core team meetings. We're going to have a focus group designed for parents, specifically just for parents, and then we're going to add an additional core team meeting to analyze that information and data from the parent input so we can incorporate it into the first year action plan. And from there, we have implementation team meetings. So the core team will be done with their work, and then I'll start to pull the staff in that'll be responsible for implementing the strategic action plan. And we'll have a couple of meetings on that so we can plan on how we're going to roll it out next year. And that's knowing that we're going to develop that first year action plan. That's the goal for the end of the project for this first year. Any questions from the board about strategic planning? Okay. Once again, thank you. Thank you for the support of the board. Thank you for my team and the administration for all the hard work you do. This is just a small glimpse of all the wonderful things that are going on at Summit Public Schools and how we're so well positioned to grow in future years. So thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. I was almost ready. Good evening and happy belated New Year. As the holiday weekend approaches, let's draw our attention to the commemoration of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and contributions, which is taking place on Monday, January 20th. An interesting fact about Dr. King's holiday is that the late Representative John Conyers first sponsored the bill with support from Coretta Scott King, Stevie Wonder, and the late President Jimmy Carter, along with numerous others who worked to get this holiday approved by the federal government. In November of 1983, President Ronald Reagan signed the federal bill approving the holiday, but the holiday was not officially recognized until 1986 in 17 states. It took another 17 years for this federal holiday to be recognized by all 50 states. Annually, communities across the country honor Dr. King's holiday in various ways. The City of Summit continues to offer service activities and educational programming beginning this week through Monday, January 20th for all community members. To learn more, please check out the City of Summit website. We want to thank all the nonprofits, the churches, schools, and other community organizations that collaborate on providing these opportunities for all community members. And in the words of the late Congressman John Lewis, the best way to honor Dr. King's legacy is to engage in service, to see it as a day on and not a day off. In addition to the wonderful programming and service opportunities in town, our district schools have also created time and space for students to honor Dr. King's legacy. Let me highlight a few. The Summit High School Drama Program is going to be making paper flower corsages on Monday, January 20th from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Community Center. These paper flowers will be sold at the Summit High School production of The Prom, and all proceeds will go to support the Trevor Project, a nonprofit dedicated to providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention services to LGBTQ plus youth. Franklin's Kindness Crew is working on a presentation about kid change makers in the world. And at Lincoln Hubbard, the 5th grade Pride Pals have worked hard to create a student-led morning announcement program. As we reflect on Dr. King's enduring legacy of unity, equity, and service, we are reminded that his dream thrives when communities come together to celebrate diversity and foster understanding. Just as Dr. King championed the idea of building bridges across differences, our schools and neighborhoods demonstrate this spirit through initiatives that celebrate culture, collaboration, and creativity. Here's an example of how one school embodies Dr. King's legacy. For more than 20 years, it's been a rite of passage for 3rd grade students to do a dance residency at Washington Elementary School. Each class picks a different country to research and learn about their culture. They have a week to learn a dance from that country and perform it for the school. There's not only choreography, but students wear beautiful costumes and use props to reflect each culture. This year, the countries represented were Norway, Italy, and India. We are thankful for this program at Washington, which also came to an end 2 years ago when the instructor of the dance residency program, Joanna, decided to retire. At the time, Dr. Banker, principal of Washington Elementary School, shared the news at a PTO meeting that the beloved program would have to end because of Joanna's retirement. Fortunately, one of the parents at that PTO meeting spoke with Dr. Banker and told her that she was a dance major in college and would be interested in seeing how she could help the program stay alive. The parents spent the week with Joanna, shadowing how she worked with the students to bring the dance residency to life. Joanna ended up selling her business to that Washington parent, who not only keeps the dance residency alive at Washington, but also continues to collaborate with other schools. In addition to a little serendipity, this is what happens when our schools and families collaborate and people go above and beyond to bring meaningful experiences to our children. Let's all try to continue Dr. King's legacy, not only this weekend, but throughout the year. Thank you. And we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Justice. As you know, I like to recognize our new hires when they join our Summit Public Schools team. Tonight, we are approving our new Director of Facilities, Mr. Chris Bick. Mr. Bick comes to us from Watchung Regional School District with 23 years of experience in the role. He met with the members of the Operations Committee last week, and he is eager to get started. Mr. Bick will formally be approved in the personnel portion of the agenda. Mr. Bick, would you stand up? We're excited to get you aboard, and we look forward to your contributions. Okay, start my report with the primary centers. Our primary centers hosted the pre-K lottery drawing this morning for the 25-26 school year. The link to watch the live stream recording is posted on the district website and the registration page. Those selected in the lottery will be notified by the secretary to set up a registration appointment. WPC is hosting their second annual Glow Run on Friday. At JPC, students experienced a wonderful assembly called World of Dance, whereby they learned about traditional attire and music from China, India, and Peru, as previously mentioned. Wilson Primary Center will have the assembly in a few weeks. At Brayton School, Brayton is having their script spelling bee on January 30. It is going to be live streamed for parents to watch from home. Students will watch from their classrooms. Second graders at Brayton are also participating. At Franklin hosted an assembly called The Art of Chinese Dancing in celebration of the Lunar New Year that was coming up this month. They learned that there were 55 minority groups in China, and dance styles can vary greatly from region to region. Students got to see the ribbon dance, a fan dance, and a sword dance, and a horse dance. Some of our students even got to participate. A huge thank you to the PTO for bringing this entertaining and informative assembly to Franklin. Franklin's second annual multicultural night is slated for January 23rd from 5 to 6:30. And they are also having an author visit from Sylvia Chen from her new book, Tricky Chopsticks, on Monday, January 27th. All second grade classes in the district are holding a reusable bag drive for Grace. At Washington School, on the Thursday before winter break, the Washington School 4th grade and 5th grade Spirit Squad walked to the Senior Living Center to see the residents and share songs and conversations. The staff and students warmly greeted them as they cheered and sang along their holiday-themed songs. After the performance, students walked around to share their personal holiday memories and traditions with the residents. Sunrise graciously provided crafts for our students to do as they shared their stories. We're so proud of our students for taking this trip and spreading joy for the Washington community. Lincoln Hubbard kicked off the new year with the New Year's Reset Assembly, where they talked about goal setting and being at their best. The 4th grade Lincoln Hubbard Cares Project is holding a clothing drive in the month of January, collecting men's and kids' clothing for the Junior League Thrift Shop. Lincoln Hubbard also held their 4th grade winter concert this week, which was a rousing success. Our 4th grade instrumental music students performed for an audience of parents and students for the very first time, and they did an amazing job. Here at the middle school, they're hosting an annual Career Awareness Day program on February 7th from 7:30 to 10:30. Students will have the opportunity to speak with members of the Summit community about different industries and career opportunities. At Summit High School, thanks to a generous grant from the Summit Educational Foundation, Ms. Sylvia Vincente and Ms. Kelly Wright are excited to welcome Maria de Los Angeles for an afternoon presentation workshop at Summit High School. Maria is a Mexican-born American artist who explore themes of migration, belonging, and identity through drawing, painting, printmaking, and wearable sculptures. After attending Maria's presentation, students moved to the art rooms for a hands-on workshop and created personalized sweatshirts that reflect their own stories and backgrounds. Parents and guardians of 8th graders are invited to attend an incoming 9th grade parent night on Wednesday, February 5th. This informational program aims to help support the transition to high school. In the world of arts, on January 7th, the Summit High School Hilltop Quartet performed and was honored by Mayor Elizabeth Fagan during the Summit Common Council organizational meeting. On December 13th, the Summit High School Chamber Orchestra and Chamber Choir students visited the middle school musicians for the annual Move Down Day. This was a wonderful day of collaboration and music between the two schools. This month, Summit High School had its Marching Band Awards Night. Students were honored for their hard work and dedication during the past marching band season, and rehearsals are underway for Summit High School's upcoming production, The Prom, a contemporary story based on true events. The Prom is a hilarious, heartwarming musical that celebrates individuality, acceptance, and the power of love. Performances will be in the Summit High School auditorium on Wednesday, February 26th at 6 p.m. and Thursday, the 27th through Saturday, March 1st at 7 p.m. And finally, as mentioned, the district is closed on Monday, January 20, in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and the district will follow a single session day on Friday, January 31, to allow for staff development in the afternoon. And that concludes my report, President.
Thank you, Superintendent Huff. And may I have a motion for items A and B for the superintendent's report?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
So, and you're absolutely right, we changed the format. It's the attachments are there for all the individual HIBs as well as seeing the executive summaries. This still satisfies the requirement for the board to approve the HIBs. The length of the listing individually on multiple pages just got to be too much. So we're canning that language in one statement so that the board can approve.
Right. They were in the past, though, so is there a motion I can make for us to include it as we did in the past for the sake of public
If there's a
transparency?
desire to go back to an agenda format, we can have that conversation. We can certainly do that in operations committee when we're forming the agenda and agenda setting when we go through it with the president and vice president.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Ms. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Miecha?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly? Ms. Urde?
Yes.
Mr. Cho?
Yes.
Vice President Cohen?
Yes.
President Justice?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And at this time, we'll have our student board representative report.
Hi, happy belated New Year's, like many have said. Hope everyone's doing well. Just to start very quickly, going into some of the sports that are taking place. Winter sports are currently going well at Summit High School. 4 female wrestlers from Summit High School competed in the Roselle Park Girls Wrestling Jamboree yesterday, along with 4 other schools. The first-time students from Summit High School have ever competed in an all-girls wrestling competition. Boys JV and varsity basketball are currently playing New Providence at home. The JV game started at 5:30, and the varsity's game should be starting around now at 7 o'clock. Girls JV and varsity basketball will also be home tomorrow, facing Union High School at the same times. Winter track and swim will also be taking place this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Students have returned from winter break and have quickly gotten back into the swing of things. Club meetings have begun again. Midterm exams will begin next week on the 23rd and the 24th and continue until the following week, the 27th and the 28th, which will also mark the end of marking period 2 and the beginning of the second semester. All midterms, all classes will have a midterm except for PE, health classes, study halls, and unassigned periods. Ticket sales for the January semi-formal reached 280 today as we are getting ready for what should be a great and fun night. If you're here and listening to this, it means you're missing a Zumba class currently being held in the cafeteria hosted by the Black Student Union and Union Hispania. And junior family conferences are beginning this week to start the college process with many of our junior families. In terms of any new student council developments, members of the student council attended a conference of student government at TCNJ, where we met with our counterparts and peers from other school districts to discuss possible new ideas and implementations that we could bring into our student government and to our school. And peer leadership teams met with their freshmen this week to discuss some of the current stresses of tackling midterms and tackling sort of heading over to the second semester as we're around halfway through the school year now. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. We appreciate that report, and you are free to go.
Yes, Matt always does a nice job.
And with that, do we have any additional revisions to the agenda?
Yes, Madam President, we have one revision, which is on page 8, item N, the approval of the employment contract between Summit Board of Education and Christian Bick Director of Facilities. It should say beginning on March 1st, 2025 or sooner for the 24-25 school year. Blah, blah, blah. So that's the only change. And I ask you to consider approving that during the personnel portion of this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we will move on to our committee reports. We will start with Education and Student Activities and Services Committee.
Okay, bear with me, everyone. I'm still recovering from illness, so I have this really fun voice. The Education and Student Activities and Services Committee met on Thursday, January 9th at 12 o'clock for approximately 80 minutes. Committee members in attendance were board members Walida Justice and Eileen Kelly, Superintendent Scott Huff, Heather Rocco, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and Dr. Crystal Marr, Director of Student Services. I unfortunately was absent for illness. The first thing discussed was a Fine and Performing Arts update. The Director of Fine and Performing Arts, Karen Forgione, shared an overview of programming from within its department. A few highlights for this year's fall programming include 25 students have joined the high school marching band this fall, bringing the total number of band students to 65. The SHS band has been doing outreach and collaboration with the middle school through the 8th grade move up and move down days. An elementary marching band day was hosted by the high school marching band this fall as well. Additionally, community offerings that occurred was the stage combat workshop by Sound and FX for 4th and 5th grade students through funding from Spark as they prepared for the fall production of Peter Pan and Wendy, as well as the high school field trip to Chelsea Galleries and Midtown Art Making Experience in New York City. The Brayton Mural Project was led by Miss Bresnak and was a wonderful contribution for all students to participate in. The Lyrica Chamber Music of Chatham performed for our high school students with funding from SMPA, and the High School Chamber Orchestra and Choir performed for the Lions Rotary Interclub Luncheon in December. Additionally, the LCJ SMS Fall Play, The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, was another outstanding performance, in addition to the talented performers showcasing the advances in technical theater and stagecraft. We then discussed course proposals. As mentioned in the presentation this evening, Summit High School Principal Stacy Grimaldi presented 7 course proposals to the committee. This school year, there are a variety of courses being proposed, and they are as follows: Algebra 1 Modified, Biotechnology, Research and Molecular Biology, Unified Dance, Unified Foods, Unified Photography, and Unified Psychology. There are changes to previous approved courses in Advanced Robotics and Dance. Middle School Principal John Safrini presented 4 course proposals to the committee, and they are as follows: Introduction to CAD, Computer Automated Drawing, Advanced CAD Modeling for the 26-27 school year, Dance, and Stagecraft. A presentation of mid-year review of board goals was then done. As you saw this evening, Superintendent Scott Huff shared the mid-year review board goals with the committee. Progress is being made in all 4 goals, and then tonight, Heather Rocco, and Crystal Marr presented them to all of you. We then discussed the SEL audit. Crystal Marr presented a comprehensive SEL audit to the committee. Our administrators, counseling department, and the climate and culture committees played pivotal roles in making sure that SEL instruction and programming meet the needs of all of our students. The district's operating budget covers 36% of the SEL budget, with remaining funds for SEL being covered by SEF and donations from other groups. We want to personally thank SEF, community organizations, and the PTOs for contributing more than half of the funding for these programs. We discussed an update to the school calendar. Governor Murphy is moving Election Day from June 3rd to June 10th. Some of the district schools are used as polling places, so now district schools will need to be closed on Election Day. As such, we are having a calendar swap with schools being open on June 3rd and closing on June 10th to accommodate the new Election Day. The change to the school calendar will be communicated to all of our families. And last but not least, we discussed the January 31st professional development. As mentioned, this is a single session day. The school district will hold a professional development day on January 31st. Training at the elementary schools will include small group instruction for math and the new ELA curriculum implementation. At middle schools, the teachers will continue to work on developing opportunity for student-led discussion, and high school educators will continue to learn about MTSS, or multi-tiered systems of support, as well as prepare advisory lessons. Our recommendation for this meeting is to approve the revised 2024-2025 school calendar. Our next meeting is Thursday, February 6th at 12 p.m. Are there any questions, comments, or additions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Stanton. You actually persisted all the way through that quite well. I'm impressed, so thank you. Next will be our Operations Committee.
Thank you, President Justice. The Operations Committee met on Monday, January 6th at 12 p.m. for approximately 1 hour and 30 minutes. Committee members in attendance included Superintendent Scott Huff, Business Administrator Derek Jess, and Assistant Business Administrator Kathy Sarno, as well as board members Jan Cho, Melanie Cohen, and myself. Items discussed on this month's agenda include a food service update from Pomptonian. The monthly P&L for November was $22,841.96. November is typically a low profit month because of holidays, but income is expected to pick up again in January. An update on Tatlock Field. On Friday, December 20th, the architectural plans went through what's called page turn, where every aspect of the plans were reviewed and finalized, ensuring that what needs to be part of the renovation is included in the final plans. After some slight delay, the business administrator confirmed that they are now ready to go to bid on Tatlock Field with the hopes to have construction begin prior to July. An update on ROD grants. As a reminder, the district is eligible for ROD grants, which provide a 40% rebate from the state on state-approved roof replacement work at 4 schools, should we decide to proceed with that work. The district does not have the money on hand to cover the entire expense up front, which is approximately $12.6 million, and thus a bond issuance would be required. The business office presented this month other projects that could potentially be added to this bond, including the repaving of parking lots, upgrades to playgrounds, power generators, and the addition of a new elevator. Please note that proposed repaving works for the middle school parking lot would be on land not owned by the district, but owned by the city of Summit. The committee did ask for more information about the lifespan of all proposed assets that need upgrading, as well as estimated costs. Engineers have provided a view that the useful life of playground equipment is approximately 10 to 12 years, and once that time frame is met, equipment is recommended for replacement. The age of our playground equipment across the district is as follows. Brayton Playground, 17 years old. Franklin Upper Playground, 7 to 10 years old. The Lower Playground, 7 to 10 years old, with one part of that playground at 12 years old. Jefferson Playground is 17 years old, and the district is using grant funds and capital reserve for playground replacement work this summer. Lincoln Hubbard has a lower playground that is 25 years old, and the upper playground is 10 years old. And Washington is 17 years old. Please note that Washington Playground is actually owned by the city of Summit. Wilson Primary Center is also 17 years old. All playgrounds currently have wood mulch as their base, and the business office did recommend the replacement of wood mulch into a poured rubber surface, as well as drainage work where needed. The Finance Committee members, Melanie Cohen and myself, will also be joining the business office on a physical tour to review all assets the district would like upgraded. As always, while there's constant work and upgrades needed across our school district, the Finance Committee will have to carefully review the estimated costs against the budget season ahead of us and the appetite of the residents and the city of Summit to accept the issuance of another bond. A few important finance items. The budget calendar has been revised, with the Operations Committee now to meet on February 27th or 28th to discuss the tentative full year 26 budget. The business office highlighted some initial estimates around the budget with anticipated increases across salary, health benefits, and property and casualty insurance. A tentative budget will be presented to the Ops Committee at the February 3rd meeting, with the board approval of the tentative budget scheduled for March 3rd. The committee also briefly reviewed bank cap information as well as interest earned to date. The facilities director, we had the pleasure of meeting Chris in our meeting at Ops, and I just want to highlight again that Chris joins us from Watchung Regional High School, where he worked there for 23 years, and he was particularly gracious and generous with his time over the winter break, coming into the district and working with the interim facilities director. So we want to officially give you a warm welcome ahead of March 1st. Our next meeting is scheduled for February 3rd at 12 p.m. There are some items not for readout. Are there any other comments or questions from members of the board? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Next will be Policy Committee.
Can you hear me now? All right. The policy committee meeting met on Tuesday, January 7th. A happy new year again to everyone. We met for approximately 23 minutes. Those in attendance were the superintendent, Scott Huff, Ra Gardella, director of HR, myself, Kelly Stanton, and Carlos Maecha. The policy committee discussed the following. Policy 5460, high school graduation. This policy has been revised to include a new graduation requirement for high school graduating classes of 25, 26, and 27. The board will now require a student and the student's parents, if applicable, to complete and submit a financial aid application in a form prescribed by the New Jersey Higher Education Assistance Authority. This financial aid application requirement is a prerequisite to the student receiving a high school diploma. A student may be exempt from the requirement if the student or the student's parents submits to the district a waiver form requesting the exemption. We also discussed policy and regulation 5533, student smoking, and this policy and regulation was revised to add section 3.3.8 titled electronic smoking devices. Section 3.3.8 addresses the school's district's responsibility to report the use or seizure of an electronic smoking device to law enforcement. Committee recommendations are the first reading of P5460 and PNR 5533, and as well as the second reading of Regulation 2430, Policy 2700, Regulation 5200, and Policy 8441. Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, February 5th at 9:30 a.m. in the District Office Boardroom. Any questions, comments, additions? Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Erde. Next will be communications.
The Communications Committee met on January 7th, 2025 at 12 p.m. and we met for 18 minutes. In attendance was Carlos Mahecha, myself, Superintendent Huff, and cabinet members Lorene Dickinson and Doug Orr. The meeting began with an update on the standardized testing schedule letter, which has been sent out successfully to parents in the district. Next, the strategic planning survey closed just before the holiday break and received participation from various groups, which the superintendent was telling us about earlier. 52 community members without children in the district participated, 27 non-certified staff, 358 parents, 169 teachers, and 1,090 students from grades 6 through 12. The Madison Institute noted that these figures represent a typical response rate for a district of our size. Madison Institute is analyzing the survey results. In addition, test scores and data are being collected for their review, with the Madison Institute scheduled to present their findings to the core team in the near future. An update on the annual school calendar was also discussed by Communication Committee. Education Committee already kind of stole my thunder on this, but due to Governor Murphy's changing the state's primary election date, an adjustment to the current calendar is proposed. 5 schools in the district serve as polling stations, making it necessary to avoid scheduling classes on election day for security reasons. Initially, June 3rd was designated as closed for election day, but the governor has changed that date to June 10th. So the proposed calendar change will swap the dates, keeping schools open on June 3rd and closing them on the new election day of June 10th. The launch of the new staff portal was announced. This initiative began as a centralized hub for summer training materials, enabling staff to review presentations and sign off electronically in one place. The approach received positive feedback, leading to its expansion into a comprehensive one-stop staff information hub. The portal now includes policies on leave, a communications page with current and past staff newsletters, and contact information for district administrators. To ensure ease of use, a bookmark for the portal has been added to every teacher's Chrome browser bookmark bar. The portal's official launch date was January 8th, with plans for ongoing updates and improvements to this hub. The committee's attention then turned to community engagement efforts. Plans are underway to host 2 to 3 coffee and conversation sessions offering informal discussions with the Board of Education President and Vice President. The first session is scheduled for February 12th at 9:30 a.m. in the Washington School Library. And finally, the committee discussed community feedback. A question was raised about a new state requirement starting with the 24-25 12th grade class, where students and their guardians must complete either the FAFSA or the New Jersey Alternative Financial Aid application in order to receive their high school diploma. Superintendent Huff noted that the high school will be sending out information to parents of 12th graders and will be guiding students and families through this process. The meeting concluded at 12:18, and the next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 4th at 12 p.m. Are there any additions from committee members or questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cohen. Next, Negotiations and Personnel Committee, and we did not meet this month. Are there any liaison reports?
To get to attend the meeting, but I did reach out to the presidents of SCF just to make sure that I was able to report to you guys, and they have 2 important updates to share. One, the spring grant cycle is opening on January 27th and will close on March 15th. And Spring for Excellence tickets are going on sale February 1st, which will take place March 8th at the Elks from 7 to 11 p.m. It is SCF's biggest fundraiser, so please buy tickets and help us celebrate their continued dedication to our schools.
Thank you, Ms. Denton. And with that, we will move to public comment.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everybody. We're now open to public comment for items both on and off the agenda. Anyone wishing to speak shall first seek recognition by the presiding officer. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address in a clear, audible tone for the record. Please direct all your comments to the board president and not an individual member of the board. And please remember to conduct yourself with decorum and respect when speaking and addressing the board. Unless additional time is granted by the board president, please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. In addition, please note that this portion of the meeting is for public comment only and not meant to be a back and forth. Board members and administration will not respond to questions or comments at this time. However, information will be provided by the appropriate individual as soon as possible.
Hey, guys. Good evening. Thanks so much for your service. I know it's a big commitment. I'll be quick here because I want to get to that Zumba class next door. So my question is, so to say my name is Rob DeVries, 153 Maple Street in Summit. Lived here for coming up on 14 years. I have 2 girls in the school system at the moment. So my question's regarding the SEL program. I'm still getting my arms around the program, trying to get a feel for the cost benefit of it. But just more specifically around privacy and as it relates to this program. So what type of protocols are in place to protect families if and when students share obvious private family information with a teacher or a group of other students? And are those protocols listed online where we could see them for ourselves?
Okay, we'll get you that information.
Thank you.
Maureen.
Good evening. My name is Rick Hamley. I'm at 36 Plymouth Road. Thank you again for all of your individual services, board members. I realize the time commitment. My question is actually directed to the president of the board. I'm curious what policies and practices you adhere to for individual board members to communicate with residents. I have sent a question to one board member a year ago, a series of questions, and wanted to share observations and received no response. I sent another email to a different board member 6 months ago and received no response. And as recently as Sunday, I sent a note to you, Madam President, and I've received no response. So I'm curious, what are the practices and policies with communicating with residents?
I appreciate your question, and I will just say I am sorry that we did not follow up on those emails, but I will go back to my email, look at that question, and make sure I have a follow-up response for you. So my apologies.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Tracy Kleinman. I live at 36 Blackburn Place. I have a daughter in 4th grade, a son in 2nd grade, and a daughter in pre-K. I'm here tonight with several of my fellow Summit moms to ask you guys a question and kind of just bring up a topic that we're very passionate about. But first, just a little bit of context and background as to why and how this kind of came up. In the spring, myself and 4 other women started a Summit chapter of the organization Wait Until 8th. Wait Until 8th is a national organization, and it's founded on the premise that it really takes a community to rally together and engage people to wait until the end of 8th grade before giving their child a cell phone. This is something that we had been talking about, just among friends. And when we heard about Wait Until 8th, we said, wow, this is something that means so much to us. We would love to see this start in Summit. So we started the chapter here in Summit, and over the course of several months in the spring into the summer, and now, in the fall, winter, we've gotten over 350 parents in Summit to sign a pledge to wait until the end of 8th grade to give their child a phone. Our goal ultimately is to shift the cultural norm and to prevent people from just kind of giving their kid a cell phone at the end of 5th grade, for example, because that's what everyone else is doing. So we're creating a lot of momentum. It's been very successful, and the mission is it's a marathon, not a sprint. But what we came here tonight to address with you guys is something that came up in a lot of conversations that we'd been having with parents over the past several months. And again, people said to us, yes, absolutely, we're totally with you, we'll sign this pledge. But one question, what's going on with cell phones in schools? And we weren't really sure how to answer that question. We wanted to talk to you guys about how this topic has been addressed, if it has been addressed, if there's anything that you guys are doing currently, or if it's on your radar, especially in light of Governor Murphy's announcement yesterday that he supports banning cell phones in public schools. So we wanted to bring that to light and share a little bit about what we're doing and see if there's anything that you guys can share with us about the conversations that you're having on your end. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and thank you for bringing that feedback to us, and we'll get back to you.
Good evening, and thank you for your service. I do understand the time commitment behind it. My name is Kevin Smallwood, 160 Summit Avenue. I do want to mention that I'm here as a parent and not in any official capacity as a council member. At the end of last year, towards the end of October, November, I sent an email to the administration because I had some concerns regarding the program Challenge Day. My daughter was selected this year, and I was going through some of the frequently asked questions, and I did actually have a chance to sit down with Principals Fernie, and we had a great conversation. I know that my time is limited, so I'm just going to point out a couple of things on the frequently asked questions for the permission slip. What exactly happens during the program? Facilitators start the morning by engaging teens in ice-breaking activities and games designed to encourage them to step outside their comfort zones. As students begin to feel comfortable and safe within their group, they are more open to sharing their experiences and connections on a deeper level, free from stereotypes and labels. Leaders also discuss the importance of healthy emotional expressions and the negative consequences of suppressing feelings. Challenge Day is designed to inspire positive change. Day after day, young people in our schools face negative behaviors such as bullying, teasing, violence, loneliness, and isolation. While I tend to agree with pretty much all of that, how Challenge Day is actually administered. After speaking with my daughter the day after Challenge Day, I have some concerns. Some of the questions. Are you from a divorced family? Are you scared to go home? Has anyone in your family taken their own life? Are you scared to go to school? And then through the conversation I had with Principals Fernie, I asked about the qualifications of the people that were administering Challenge Day. That became a little bit more concerning when I found out the information wasn't readily available. However, it was emailed to me at a later time. Michael Anthony Lowe works for Challenge Day, has a BA in American Culture with a minor in History. Pam Dunn didn't list any educational background, other than the actual training that they received from Challenge Day, the Challenge Day company itself. So my concerns, it sounds, this is more of the line of questioning that's going on during Challenge Day sounds more of like a group therapy session, with students being reassured afterwards, after these questions, that it wasn't your fault. These questions being asked by administrators who were brought in from out of state that don't have the qualifications that you would think that would be administering during a group therapy session, asking these questions, asking the students if they have any traumas, and then telling them that it's not your fault. While I understand the premise that you're trying to get the students to understand, hey, you may not be alone. You may have be in a certain family, private situation that another student may be in. And I get that. I'm not against the premise of this. I'm against how, I'm concerned at how it is actually administered. You have 100 students that are chosen randomly by teachers, counselors, which I wasn't able to figure out how each student was actually picked. That wasn't really explained that well. My daughter was selected. We did sign it up because she thought it would be fun. It's a day out of class. You get to go in the gym with a bunch of students and you don't have any homework. Of course, it sounds fun. Going through the FAQs, it didn't really explain who is administering this, what types of questions would be asked, and how. How she explained it to me is they were all in a line at one portion of the day, and they were asked to step forward. My daughter comes from a divorced family. So when the question was asked, do you come from a divorced family? Please step forward. I felt like she was being singled out. I asked my daughter how she felt about it. I asked her if there were any other students that stepped forward. And she said, yes, I think there were 3 others. I said, how did that make you feel? And she goes, I felt like I was being singled out. And I get it. So while I understand, again, the premise of what we're trying to do here, making students feel like you're not alone, there are other people in similar situations like you, and you can maybe find and create a new friend. However, I would really impose upon you of looking at the people that you're bringing into our schools and the qualifications of the people that are administering Challenge Day. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mike McTiernan, 11 Blackburn Road. Thank you for all your hard work and your commitment to Summit and serving. I know how hard it can be. I had 4 kids who went through the school system. Wonderful job. I'm also on our town council. I'm actually the president of our city council at the moment. And one of the things that I came in, I had some ideas of things to do, but I'm an educator, second career. I teach out in Berners Township at the high school there. And I have seen firsthand in the classroom what cell phones do to our children. And I know you guys are all in your seats here because you care passionately about children, as so do I. And I was really excited when I joined the council to be able to meet some of these amazing women who are pushing a grassroots effort to have to educate parents around the dangers of cell phones and to get them to voluntarily sign a pledge to not give smartphones to children at least till 8. I think it should be till until college, but that remains to be seen. But we've embraced this at the municipality level. Department of Community Programming is starting to do events that are cell phone free, that kids can come, but they have to leave their cell phones behind. And I would really encourage, I know that, we have to get the grassroots here, and this is not, I'll talk about schools in a sec, but this is for parents. But I do think there is a role that our schools can play by having you guys empowering principals to promote this with their local PTOs and PTAs at the elementary school level, to really be proactive in supporting this initiative. Because if we can get critical mass, as they said, you really flip the switch, where you make it where it's cool to not have a cell phone rather than have a cell phone. And we have to get to that level because it is so dangerous. And just on the high school level, we do not allow cell phones in the classroom. We have a FOTEL policy. I know that's being piloted at the high school now. I wholly agree with it. We are now taking this a step further in my district. We are going to pilot it for a couple of days in February, and we are going to cell phone free the minute you walk in the school, and that includes study hall and lunch. And the board has told us that they will provide whatever financial backing it would be, whether it's cell phone lockers, et cetera, to make sure that that policy succeeds. They're taking it incredibly seriously. And I see it. Every year we talk to my fellow teachers, and these kids, every year, it's worse. The anxiety, the distractions, the bullying, the self-hurt. It's a real thing. And I know they mentioned Governor Murphy is supporting this. It's going to come. And I just hope that you guys start thinking proactively on how to promote that. So thank you.
Hey, excuse me. How's it going? Zach Miller, 5 Nob Hill Drive. Thank you all for what you do. First quick thing, I don't know if it's possible. I watch the recorded version very frequently and the audio cuts out a lot. So whatever you all can do to make sure that doesn't happen, I appreciate it. Second quick thing is there a way to be informed on the answers to the questions? I know you don't answer the questions live, you communicate directly, but a lot of this is material to a lot of parents and a lot of folks. So is there a way to publicize the answers to the questions that are posed in these meetings? So that's 2. Third, I'm not gonna go into too much detail. I'm a relatively new parent in the system. I have my oldest kid's at Wilson, but I'll eventually have 3 in Franklin. I just wanna reiterate, my concern, and I know a lot of other concerns for new parents in the district around the cell phones. So kudos to what they're doing with the program. And I think there are a lot of folks who feel that way as we have kids entering the system. And I understand for folks who have older kids in the system, it's a little hard to take away a cell phone from a 14-year-old kid. But hopefully we can have a shift over the coming years. So I appreciate the hope and progress that could be made there. So there's just a lot of folks who care about that. Second, and I think try to bridge the 2 topics. It's probably true for many years we didn't care about or know about the concerns with having cell phones in schools. Maybe a few parents did, and they were viewed as crazy parents. They care about cell phones. This is wild. What could be so wrong? But now we're recognizing that actually there is a problem, and that's great for my kids. But that's not great for kids who've been through, who are older and have had these issues over the years, right? So there are kids that are harmed because we didn't know any better. And I bring that up to say, with regard to programming where we have good intentions, maybe it's SEL programming, maybe it's Chromebooks in kindergartens, maybe there's things where we think this is great, but there haven't really been, to my knowledge, long-term studies or actual data that shows the positive academic benefits to any of these things. So I would just hope that as this conversation develops, which I imagine it will over the coming years, which you should all know it's going to, I hope that there is actual data and information around the academic benefits of SEL programming and the academic benefits of putting Chromebooks in kindergarten classes. Thanks very much.
We'll move to public comment, items not on the agenda.
No, we did all of it. It's all been done.
Okay.
Motion to close.
Motion to close public comment.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
And may I get a motion to approve the December meeting minutes?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Next is curriculum, instruction, and program, items A through C. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Stanton? I
Yes.
see I get caught up every once in a while. Mr. Mahecha? Ms. Kelly? Mr. Erde? Miss Erde? Wow. Well, at least I heard you this time, so that's good. Yep. Mr. Cho? Vice President Cohen? President Justice?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item is finance, items A through Q. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We're on finance now. A through Q. Yes. Any discussion? All right, Ms. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Mahecha? Ms. Kelly? Miss Erde? Mr. Cho? Vice President Cohen? President Justice?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is school board operations, item A. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion?
Yes, excuse me. Due to conduct on becoming a board member, I will be voting no on the appointment of Ms. Cohn to the Board of School Estimate, but will vote yes on Ms. Justice. Can we have the vote separated?
Mr. Mahecha, thank you for your comment. The vote will be together, however, because that's how the vote is typically held. However, you can certainly express your yes for a portion of it and no for a portion of it as I call the roll.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other discussion?
One question on, I guess, precedent. Is it always the president and vice president that serve on the Board of School Estimates?
We have had several variations over the years of various people who have served in this role. So it is up to the president to make the recommendation for the appointment and then up to the board to vote on that as well, according to our policies.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none. Ms. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Mahecha?
No on Ms. Cohn, yes on Ms. Justice.
Thank you. Ms. Kelly? Ms. Erde?
Yes.
Mr. Cho? Vice President Cohen?
Yes.
President Justice?
Yes.
Motion carries for both. Thank you.
Next item is personnel, items A through P. And what is on the addendum? May I have a motion?
Is there any discussion? Ms. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Mahecha? Ms. Kelly? Ms. Erde? Mr. Cho? Vice President Cohen?
Yes.
President Justice?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is policy and regulations, first and second readings. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Ms. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Mahecha? Ms. Kelly? Ms. Erde? Mr. Cho? Vice President Cohen? President Justice?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are adjourned at 7:44. Thank you, everybody.